flying to the Democratic headquarters here in the Harrisburg area. Will he be meeting with Democratic supporters? He's trying to reassure voters and Democrats that he indeed can do the job, can serve another term. This is a critical time for him this week in particular, whether he can shore up that support that's needed or, in fact, if there will be more calling for him to drop out of the race. The concern, of course, is some of the polls we've been seeing with Republican Donald Trump following that debate, polls that in battleground states such as Pennsylvania show former President Trump with a slight lead. Again, it's still a very close race. President Biden and his campaign definitely blitzing the battleground states of late and this week. In fact, the First Lady will be in Florida tomorrow as we see Air Force One taxiing right toward us. He'll spend a little time greeting folks. We've got some Democrats here. The mayor of Harrisburg, Wanda Williams, also Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis is here at the airport to greet him, as well as some state lawmakers as well. And of course, there will be others as well. We expect possibly to see Governor Shapiro at the event, meeting the lawmakers and meeting some strong Democratic supporters in the Harrisburg area at the headquarters. We'll be going with the press pool in the presidential motorcade over to that event at the headquarters. So we'll be traveling with him and we'll be there to cover that event as well. As you take a look, there it is, the United States of America, Air Force One, President Biden. He, of course, was born in Pennsylvania and has come back here quite often during his first term in office. And, of course, now with it being a battleground state, it is a crucial state. It's one of the states on the blue wall that he was able to hold in 2020 and defeat Donald Trump. He's got to do it again if he wants a second term. And again, with some in his own party calling for him to step aside following that debate. So crucial times for President Biden, and he is making Harrisburg, Pennsylvania a stop. Of course, I spoke with him 4 years ago when he visited the AFL-CIO headquarters in Harrisburg in 2020. He stopped there then. He has strong union support, and he has been having strong support here in Pennsylvania despite some of the questions surrounding his performance in that debate. I'm going to turn it back now to McKenna Alexander with more on the president's arrival here at HIA, as you see it pulling to a stop behind me. McKenna?
All right, thank you so much for that background, Barb. As Barb just mentioned, you're looking now at a live picture. United States of America Air Force One plane has just taxied onto the tarmac. We're now waiting for President Biden to step out. Today, he is traveling all around the Commonwealth. This morning he was in Philadelphia for a campaign event speaking at a church. Now he is also going to be joined today by several leaders. I know Barb mentioned the mayor of Harrisburg is going to be traveling with him. He's also going to be joined by Governor Josh Shapiro, Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, Senator Bob Casey, Senator John Fetterman, as well as, again, the mayors of Philadelphia and Harrisburg. Now, this trip does come on the heels of his visit to Madison, Wisconsin on Friday, where then he rallied over 1,000 supporters. And there he spoke about the importance of this election when it comes to the state of democracy, the economy, and human rights. Now, this weekend's campaign events, first in Philadelphia, now here in Harrisburg, are all a part of the Biden-Harris campaign and Democratic Party's aggressive July voter outreach blitz, which includes a $50 million paid media campaign over the month of July, an aggressive travel schedule, which will include visits to every battleground state, and an organizing program that will also hit more than 3 million doors across the months of July and August. As mentioned, this is the president's 10th trip to Pennsylvania during the 2024 election. Most recently, Biden and Vice President Harris were in Philadelphia to launch Black Voters for Biden-Harris, a national organizing program to bolster outreach to the backbone of the Biden-Harris coalition, which they define as Black voters. Now, as we are waiting here, we can now see that President Biden getting ready to step out. We're seeing some security step down as we're seeing them all come down the stairs. Big campaigner traveling with him today as he is heading to the Democratic National Committee headquarters. We're just waiting here to see him come out. This is his press pool, which again will be traveling to the Democratic National headquarters today to be meeting with campaign voters as well as some area Democrats. President Biden will be joined today by First Lady, and we're just trying to see where exactly he is. A lot of people coming off here right now. This is still just his press pool traveling with him. Now here, very hot day today, lots of security around, really closed off the entire area for this event as we're all waiting here for President Biden to make his arrival. Here becomes the motorcade, which will then be taking him to the DNC headquarters. Members of our press will also be attending that motorcade. It looks like we're getting a little bit closer to seeing Biden come out of the plane. Just a few more people, it seems. Quite the entourage he's traveling with here. Obviously, big time for campaign events, trying to hit Pennsylvania, the battleground state ahead of the November election. Looks like the ladder is now clearing. We can really expect President Biden's arrival anytime now. Just waiting here as the motorcade continues to pull up. About 30-40 cars as typical. Local politicians and leaders are now heading out onto the tarmac to greet President Biden. Again, just any moment now that he'll be walking out of Air Force One. Large crowd coming to greet him as well. You'll notice our own Barbara Barr on the tarmac now. She's going to be part of the press pool, continuing our coverage with Biden's visit today in the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Looks like they're now shutting the gates on one of the entrances. Unclear which entrance Biden is going to be coming out of, whether it's the left or the right. Looks like it's probably going to be the left, given the politicians and local elected leaders standing around that ladder. Again, any moment now, we're expecting President Biden to step foot at Harrisburg International Airport for a campaign visit to Harrisburg, his first since 2020. Right now, you're taking a look at Mayor Wanda Williams, also attending today's event. We spoke with her briefly. She's very excited to be here despite the heat. It's definitely a hot one out here, but that's not holding anyone back from helping Biden campaign for re-election. You might also recognize some area representatives. Taking another wide look at the plane now. Again, President Biden expected to come out any moment, probably on this left ladder here on the tarmac. Seeing some movement inside the plane. Looks like things are being final preparations set into place. A couple campaign members walking around. Still no sign of the president, but again, expected to be here any moment now. Again, coming from Philadelphia, where Biden spoke at a church this morning, speaking with voters there after a rally in Madison, Wisconsin on Friday, where he also spoke to a crowd of over 1,000 people discussing the economy, human rights, as well as the safety of democracy. Again, as mentioned, this is a very big campaign effort in this month of July as the Biden campaign works to get to all those battleground states and really effort its push for a re-election ahead of November. A couple more people coming out of the right side of the plane now. Looks more like people carrying luggage. And look, there we have it. It's coming. Oh, well, no, he walked past the door. Fortunately, the wing of the airplane makes it a little difficult to see exactly. Some people clearing the air now. Oh, there he is. There we have President Joe Biden getting ready to come down the stairs again at Harrisburg International Airport. His first stop in Harrisburg since the 2020 campaign. Here he is, greeted by First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, of course. Coming down to meet area representatives, mayors, politicians, as they get ready to then head to the Democratic National Committee headquarters to meet with other Democrats and host a campaign event. So it will be a private event, but we do have our Barbara Barr that will be attending that on the inside and will be bringing us further coverage later this evening at 10 and 11. President Biden now getting into the car. President Biden greeting Mayor Wanda Williams there. Again, as mentioned, we did speak with the mayor right before this, said she's very excited to be here. Now Senator Fetterman also there in attendance. Lots of local area representatives and state representatives here to be joined by Biden during this campaign event. President Biden still just greeting people on the tarmac right now, welcoming officials, welcoming Democrats, welcoming supporters. Now, again, they all will be getting into this motorcade to go to the DNC headquarters for a private campaign event where Biden is expected to discuss his re-election campaign. Dr. Joe Biden greeting people now as well. Dr. Joe Biden was in the Susquehanna Valley just a few weeks ago, speaking at Millersville University during a discussion on abortion rights within the country and a push for voters to get out and vote for Biden for reproductive rights. Now, another thing, this morning we did receive a statement from the Republican National Convention ahead of Biden's visit today. Now, it was said in part, today as Joe Biden attempts to tout his failed record in Pennsylvania, Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whately released the following statement, and that reads, quote, Joe Biden only has 33% approval in the Keystone State because his policies have failed Pennsylvania families. From crippling inflation and housing prices that are making life unaffordable to police shortages that are making communities less safe, it's no wonder why Pennsylvania voters are lining up to make America great again by supporting President Trump. Again, that statement came from Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whately. Now, former President Trump, has also been campaigning in the Commonwealth recently. Just a few weeks ago, he was speaking at Temple University in Philadelphia. He's also expected to be back in the Commonwealth this next Saturday for another campaign rally. Again, just taking a live look right now, President Biden, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, speaking with area politicians and leaders. President Biden got off Air Force One just a couple of minutes ago. If you're tuning in now, President Biden will then be heading to a campaign event, a private campaign event at the Democratic National Committee headquarters here in Harrisburg. This is President Biden's first visit to Harrisburg since 2020. Earlier this morning, Biden was at another event, this time in Philadelphia, where he spoke at a church service. This weekend's campaign events are part of a much larger Biden administration effort to hit all of the battleground states with an $8 million campaign ahead of the November election. Before this, Biden was most recently campaigning in Madison, Wisconsin, where he spoke to a crowd of over 1,000 people, hitting another battleground state there, and then now as well in the Commonwealth. And again, we will be having News 8's Barbara Barr joining this caravan in just a few moments, and she will be attending that private campaign event with Biden, as well as state senators, state representatives, and other local leaders. Taking a couple photos now. See President Biden posing with a few of the people on the tarmac who have all gathered to greet him. On the other side, you'll see the White House press pool, who of course travels with the president. It's expected to be a relatively short visit today here in Harrisburg. Biden only plans to spend a couple hours in the city, but his campaign believes it's an important stop to make, especially after coming from Philadelphia, the short distance, but really trying to hit all those stops along the Commonwealth and those blue-walled states ahead of the November election, expected to be very close, and that's why these battleground states are so critical to the campaign. President Biden seems to be speaking with Dr. Jill Biden. Again, they're still just socializing and speaking with those that will be joining them at this private event today. Again, it's a hot day out here. People are very toasty, but that's clearly not slowing anyone down. Everyone I spoke with mentioned the heat. It's hard not to, but they all say it's definitely worth it to be able to campaign alongside President Biden and help urge voters to re-elect him to another term in office this November. We've spoken with several representatives, the mayor, all of them very excited to be here today. And of course, we'll be having more coverage coming from them later this evening, as well as complete team coverage throughout the rest of the night. People are starting to move a little bit more now. Looks like people are slowly making their way towards the motorcade. Dr. Jill Biden now making her way, and it looks like she's now entering her vehicle. President Biden speaking with a campaign member, following right beside his wife. All right, again, if you're just now joining us, President Biden now entering the motorcade after touching down at Harrisburg International just about 10 minutes ago. His first visit to Harrisburg since 2020. President Biden now joining this motorcade along with state senators, state representatives, as well as local elected officials and the area representatives as well. They're going to be heading to the Democratic National Convention headquarters